From big ideas to essential questions to learning objectives, what's the difference between these three and how are they connected? First of all, think of big ideas as the most general of these three concepts. We get a little bit more narrower when we think about essential questions, and we get the most focused in detail when we are looking at learning objectives. So let's take a look at a few definitions. Big ideas are core concepts, principles, theories, and processes that serve as a focal point of curricular instruction and assessment. While essential questions can be a question that probes for deeper meaning, essential questions often don't have a simple or right answer. They provoke further inquiry and stimulate ongoing thinking. Learning objectives are 2 to 4 learning targets that students are expected to develop throughout the lesson. Let's take a look at some examples. In this example, we'll be using supply and demand from economics. The big idea might be the supply and demand of a good or service influences the price of that good or service. In fact, the big idea could be as simple as a section heading in a textbook or an ebook. For example, in this example, the section heading might read as simple as how supply and demand affect prices. That's a big idea. And take a look at essential questions. We now probe a little bit deeper and bring it into real-life application. How should consumers and producers respond, or are they likely to respond to changes in market demand and supply? Or, can the supply and demand of a good and service be influenced in order to control prices? And then as we look at learning objectives, these are those daily learning tasks and skills that the students are expected to learn in order to form a knowledge base. Students will be able to identify and plot demand and supply curves on a graph. Students will be able to identify areas of excess demand, excess supply, and equilibrium on the graph, and so on. Notice that the verbs are all measurable. Identify, evaluate, and research. Your learning objectives must be measurable. So, start with the big idea, a general concept. Second, narrow the big idea by focusing on 1 to 3 concepts in question form that provoke deeper inquiry and real-life problem solving. These are your essential questions. Third, narrow even further by identifying the basic learning objectives that your students need to develop in order for them to form a base of knowledge to address the essential questions.